of course,
Commission don secure 41 conviction from Wuru matter wey be say relates to case as at April 29. He talks that the commission don recover the cash and draft over the 55.6 million with property value of 18,800,000 and 2 cars wey be say dem no get value. He can advise make Nigerians dey very careful and make them shine their eye because of the way when be say innocent people they fall victim of Wuru. The Nigeria Immigration Service NIS don start registration for the insurance of the 10-year e-passport. Now, the public relations officer of the service, James Sunday, talked this one on Monday when he said to journalists around the capture center for Abuja. He said about 720 applicants now they go capture for the day. The new passport plan still get registration when he said the National Identity Management Commission, NIMSC, they do. The Nigeria Immigration Service NIS don't start registration for the insurance of the 10-year e-passport. And at the public relations officer of the service, James Sunday, talked this one on Monday when he takes journalists around the capture center for Abuja. He said like 720 applicants and they don't capture for the day. The new passport plan, if you get registration when the National Identity Management Commission, they do. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEPA, don't review saying almost 2.5 million people they displaced on top of the flood for 2018. NEMA Director of Research and Rescue, Commodore Akugbe Iyamu, talked this one for Abuja for the technical workshop for disaster management. He said NIMET and NIHSA 2018 seasonal rainfall prediction don't help NEPA prepare well for the flood. Air Commodore Iyamu don't beg a response agency to work together as interagency collabo will help reduce the effect of water dam and other natural disaster for the country.
The flood affected 129 local government areas, over 2,321,592 people with 199 deaths. In the final outcome, 4,107 people were injured, while over 600,000 were displaced. The damage also affected over 100,190 houses and 382,368 agricultural cropland. It will be recalled that water, sanitation, and hygiene became a huge challenge among the affected community. The lesson of 2018 encouraged NEMA to collaborate with relevant stakeholders in this meeting and come up with risk and implication of this year's seasonal rainfall prediction. As a way of embracing global best practices in disaster management, NEMA is embracing a new paradigm in disaster risk reduction. Consequently, the agency will collaborate with stakeholders to review the national contingency plan to align the agency's effort with the world view on disaster management, with the aim to save lives from preventable causes.
We'll take one small chicken break. When we show back with Samana, more to read them. We're gonna not go anywhere. The World Food Programme don't deliver emergency food and aid give residents of Cyclone when they attack Mozambique on Monday, April 29, as rainfall be stopped their effort. 4 days after when Cyclone Kenneth finished the area, the death list don't rise from 5 to 38. The Country Disaster Management Institute now then talk this one on Monday. The United Nations talk say they don't release $13 million for the emergency fund for Mozambique and the Comoros to provide food, water, and repair infrastructure them. The World Food Programme talks say that they fear for 700,000 people when they say they at risk as rain still they fall and the flood water still they rise. The family of before Nigerian President Abdulaziz Bouteflika don't come out the presidential headquarters for the western area of Algiers early this week. They evacuate the premise according to the order of the military authority, the de facto rulers, after Bouteflika stepped down for April 2nd because of mass Wenogo Grewaka. The family they live for Zarada City, the official presidential palace, the El Mouradia for inside Agias province. The substitute director of the Holy See Press Office, Alexandra Gesotti, don't tell Vatican News say Pope Francis they pray for the victim of Burkina Faso church attack them. Their family and the entire Christian community for the country. 6 people died for the attack on top. They will not go green matter when they say church do for Burkina Faso on Sunday for Sigaji for the north of the country, just as the Sunday service wanted close. According by security source them and people when they say they don't know, show on top motorcycle begin shoot anyhow and they can kill 6 people plus the pastor Pierre Quadrago and in 2 picking them. The news will continue after this short break. Make sure not go anywhere. According by the U.S. ambassador to Sri Lanka on Tuesday, he said the United States, they believe say members of the militant group, when they blame for Sri Lanka Easter Sunday attack, don't disappear and they plan more attack. Ambassador Elena Teplis, he tell Reuters, say the terrorists treat their road and they fit plan another badness as they never see them cash.
I can't comment on specific intelligence or investigative information, but I believe our warning is valid and still stands, which is that we do believe that there is active plotting underway, and we have warned U.S. citizens and then, of course, others who might read our warnings to be mindful of places that might make attractive targets for terror.
Iran President Hassan Rouhani talked for one speech broadcast live on Iranian state TV on Tuesday, say Iran will continue to export oil even with the U.S. pressure when they say they want to reduce the nation crude oil shipment to 0. Rouhani say American decision when they take say Iran oil export must reach 0, no follow at all, and they're not going to allow this matter, let this decision happen. He said for future months, the Americans themselves say Iran will continue oil export. The United States talked last Monday, say make buyers of Iranian oil stop to buy from May 1st or they go face sanction on them. And this 6 months of waiver when they say don't allow Iran 8 biggest customers, most of them for Asia, to continue import small volume. U.S. President Donald Trump does sue 2 banks for the matter when they say he want to stop them, make them no put hand for a financial record to Congress. They filed the lawsuit against Deutsche Bank and Capital after Democrat-led committee issued subpoenas for inside format forum. A 3-headed children and the Trump organization joined the lawsuit when they argue say no ground day to take investigating business affairs. As they call the lady Democrats say they no go stop because of the blocking attempt. One Deutsche Bank woman talk person tell the New York Times say they remain committed to give better information to authorize investigate. Japan Emperor Akihito don't declare the way to come out and deliver him last public address as emperor for one historic group for Tokyo. Him na the first Japanese monarch to stand down for more than 200 years. They give the 85-year-old permission to come out after he say he no fit fulfill his role because of his age and health. Crown Prince Naruhito go sit down for the chair on Wednesday to start new era. For his final speech, Akihito say he wish Japan and the world peace and prosperity. The next one, business news.
Getting relaxed at a great hotel and spa, shopping in the best malls of this world, and touring the City of Gold. There is just one destination that can make you have all experiences in one. Discover Dubai with Wakanow.com. Book your travel with Wakanow and get free airport pickups in Dubai. Wakanow can book your flights, hotel, tours, and much more. We have an international travel sim for use anywhere in the world with non-roaming rates. Contact Wakanow.com for the cheapest prices to Dubai. Wakanow.com.
They say oil prices on Tuesday don't reverse earlier loss after Saudi Arabia said they fit carry matter of crude deal between producers to withhold output go June to cover all the 2019. This now according to Reuters, Brent crude fusion at $72.25 per barrel, and they get up to 21 cents from their last close. U.S. to West Texas intermediate crude fusion day for $63.67 per barrel, up 17 cents from their before settlement. Price don't come under downward pressure earlier for the Tuesday after data for China, the factory activity with financial markets. Still on the matter on Top A Plus Africa TV, the one we'll get next, a roundup on entertainment and sports with the show back.
Far away in a foreign land, they have embarked on a new adventure. What challenges will they confront? What pleasures will they experience?
Is to be the best in this competition because I really want to show the African how beautiful they are. Amazing!
A brand new life with all possibilities. Nigerians in China on StarTimes.nkoa.
Caligaris of New Haven, when they represent Connecticut, don't win the 2019 edition of the beauty pageant competition of Miss Teen USA 2019. The 18-year-old model do this waka with 50 other contestants before he take the 37 Miss Teen USA crown. Kali when say she be competitive dancer and when she still get hope to be nurse, they the top two along with Kathleen Vogel of North Dakota. When be say she earned as a runner-up. The team when be say it makes sense again, I be say Kelly embraced her natural beauty with her natural afro hair throughout the compete when be say she take win. Kelly don't thank her support system for waiting she don't get from this compete. That now what we get for entertainment. The next one now for sports.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby.
We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward.
Wait, stop.
You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down. Keep walking to the left. Yes.
You're almost here.
Keep going.
You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
The Shemu of the International Table Tennis Federation, ITTF, nomination committee, Wahid Oshodi, talks say African table tennis player no go fit level their Asian and European counterpart unless they compete for the elite level tournament when we say go help them up their game. As he talk against the backdrop of African players' performance for the 2019 ITTF World Championship when we say hold for Budapest, Hungary, Oshodi say the performance of the African players they very fair. Before President of the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation, NTTF, talks say for African players to collect medal for global tournament, they go need to learn modern technique of the sport. It's a sponsorship and funding. They're very important to help African players become more competitive for the global scene. They say Gareth Bale agent Jonathan Barnett don't come and talk say the Welshman they 100% committed to the Real Madrid despite Zinedine Zidane when they say they question Bale focus for the club. This now after Zidane comment after the Real Madrid defeat to Rayo Vallecano on Sunday. They don't link Bale with move out of the Spanish capital since he suggests a willingness to come out for the end of last season. The Wales International don't get very boring season for the Madrid when they played the full 90 minutes for their 1-0 loss to Rayo. But Zidane tell the media afterwards say he not sure whether Bale they focus. Bale don't score just 8 league goals this term from total of 29 matches. All right, we thank on our NBC on to join us on top this very clock. That now our news roundup for event for this hour. For more news, updates, I beg follow us at Plus TV Africa on top Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And make sure subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We will show back later with plenty to read them. We can not go anywhere. My name, I promise, Nero. On a good afternoon and on a well done.
You're watching Plus TV Africa, and this is Tea Time.
I loved the energy when I came in here. It was so positive. I was like, I can't live here.
My real names are Akbofio Obo, Akborobo Mere.
I think my father is a comedian because most times when he calls me, he's like, yo, make sure you use condom, you know, them girls out there.
So are you telling me I should have shot my shots?
Ife, you are my younger brother. Age is nothing but a number. What? I'm a vampire.
I believe in equal rights for women, and I also believe that a man is the head of the house, so we need to draw our limits somewhere.
It feels so good. Now can I do my jam now?
Yeah, you can.
Thank you.
Strive Masiyiwa is a London-based businessman, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. He is the founder of telecommunications giant Econet Wireless Holdings, which operates across 4 continents. He had to overcome opposition from the Zimbabwean government in a 5-year court battle to make Econet what it is today. Born January 29, 1961 in Zimbabwe, Strive attended primary school in Zambia before completing his secondary education in Scotland. He holds a degree in electrical engineering from the University of Wales. In 1998, he was named one of the 10 most influential leaders of the world by Junior World Chambers of Commerce, an accolade previously given to John Kennedy. Forbes magazine named him amongst the top 10 most powerful men in Africa in 2015. Facebook identified him as having the most engaging following of any business leader in the world, with over 2.5 million followers. Masiyiwa is very big on giving back. He has provided scholarships to over 40,000 orphans through his family foundation. He is also a member of Giving Pledge, an initiative run by Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. Masiyiwa is married to Sisi Masiyiwa, and together they have 4 children. And this is The Mogul in 90 seconds.
You're watching Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. I am Fumi Onwajefe. Today, we'll be focusing on activism across the continent. Not satisfied with certain issues and, of course, with ineffective leaders who aren't dealing with the crisis on the continent, A lot of people are coming together to find their own solutions and raise awareness. We start in Rwanda, where Freddie and Kayla have started Media for the Deaf. Let's find out what that's about.
Freddie Rangira and Kalya Uwedegije have been campaigning for media inclusion of the deaf since 2014. According to the latest census, there are more than 30,000 people with hearing disorders in Rwanda. Yet few in the broader public are aware of the challenges that come with deafness.
The deaf community is among us the marginalized into even the disability movement. They are the one who are more marginalized than others.
The idea to launch Media for the Deaf came from a research project on how the media serves disabled people. The findings were alarming. With only one youth program available in sign language, deaf people in Rwanda have extremely limited access to information.
After the recommendation I got, I said, what is my contribution or my solution to that problem that they are facing as someone who studied journalism and communication.
Today, the media team is preparing for the next video shoot for their #SignYourName campaign. Diane Gashumba, the Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, has agreed to participate. The two activists were inspired by the success of the recent Ice Bucket Challenge on social media.
I thought it would be easy, but it was difficult. But I was supported and it was good. It was a good experience.
The minister also promised further support for the team and their initiative down the track. 48 celebrities have already taken part, among them local artists, athletes and actors.
nshobora kuganira mu rurimi rw'amarenga ese kuki wowe utagerageza murakoze.
The group recently won a Young Rwandan Achievers Award for their efforts. Freddie is proud that all their work and commitment has been recognized.
And this is Kayla in between receiving the award. On the left, it's the First Lady of Rwanda, Madame Jeannette Kagame, and Honorable Minister of Youth and ICT. This came at the right moment because it gave us the spirit of going on doing more of the advocacy work we are doing.
Media for the Deaf also plans to offer sign language workshops for journalists, as well as media training for deaf people. A difficult task because the young organisation is still struggling financially. So far, the 9 board members have had to pay all expenses out of their own pockets. But their success proves that good ideas don't need much to grow.
We challenge you.
Half of the African population lives in poverty. These people do not have access to basic human needs such as nutrition, clean water, shelter, and more. 47% of the African population is living on $1.90 or less, and 2 in 5 Africans are illiterate. Now let's bring that to perspective. In Kenya, poverty is the leading cause of teenage mothers, particularly from the ages of 14 to 16. Now, one young woman has started an interreligious school to encourage young girls who think that their education and in turn their lives are over because they became pregnant.
Every week, Mariam Masih visits this public school in Malindi. She doesn't want the school to be named. This is part of her program's strategy to protect the girls, Mariam says. The Kenyan Coast Interfaith Council of Clerics reintegrates teenage mothers into school. The teachers try to support these young girls aged between 14 and 16. They come from different religions, mainly Catholic and Muslim. This interreligious approach is of great importance to the different leaders in the Interfaith Council.
These interfaith clerics also, they have a common meeting where they all discuss, they sit down to discuss the issues of children, because when problems comes, they will not face a particular religion. They face each and every child from whichever religion that is.
Poverty is the main problem in this region. Young girls get lured by men offering to buy them simple items like sanitary towels. They get abused and become pregnant.
The parents will ask, if she goes back to school, who will take care of their children? And we were able to talk to these parents and show sense to them that these are still children and they need to be given an opportunity.
This argument finally convinced Pili Ramadhan to also let her daughter participate in the project. Her daughter is with the green scarf and didn't want to be filmed or named. We shall call her Shumi. Shumi is only 16, but already has a 1.5-year-old child. I was pregnant when I was still in school, and after I gave birth, I decided to go back to school and learn, because life will be difficult. For her mother, Pili Ramadhan, having another child to feed was a shock. She's unemployed and still doesn't know how to make ends meet. The 55-year-old widow also supports the 2 children of her son. When I learned about the pregnancy of my daughter, I was so sad and bitter that I was beating her all the time. My neighbors told me that beating is not the solution, and it's not the end of learning. Mariam Masih visits one of the girls who has landed on her feet despite her early pregnancy. Sylvia Jumwa has a small tailoring shop. Her first child died when she was 16. For Mariam, she's a great example for the other girls.
We are trying to build that social cohesion where people can coexist together peacefully, despite the fact that they come from different backgrounds, different ethnic groups and different religions.
Jumwa took up a microcredit, which she is now able to pay back. She even employs 2 young seamstresses. For Masih, teaching the young women to provide for themselves may be the answer to their problems, and they no longer have to accept the dubious offers of the men.
From pregnant school children to street children, Isaac Peter is trying in his own little way to take children off the streets.
Victor Brown's stage name is T1. He's a breakdancer in Monrovia's Paynesville neighborhood. Thanks to the help of Isaac Peters, T1 is now about to go to school. I was always trying to find a way to go to school, and luckily I met him. He told me he could help me start school, and he encouraged me with my dancing. He said I should dance at school to motivate my friends outside who are not educated to attend school. Isaac Peters set up this high school after Liberia's civil war to educate street children. But he's been struggling to keep the school up and running. Financial problems mean it's hard to maintain the buildings. There are about 20 teachers for nearly 2,000 children, but only half of the pupils pay fees. Others, like Victor, rely on Isaac's scholarship program, co-financed by the other children. Isaac Peters spent part of his own childhood on the streets.
Living the streets as a child at a time enabled me to secure a good future. And securing a good future is one thing, but it's also helped me to impact the lives of other people. And the street life also gave me an idea on how it looked like to be out there sleeping on the market tables.
After classes, Isaac often heads to the local cemetery where his runaway son Cyrus hangs out.
I feel that I'm obligated to him to transform his life from the grave to someone who will make a difference in life.
Cyrus used to live with Isaac, but then he started stealing and turned violent.
The passion that I have to help many of our children, especially war-affected children and children from the ghetto, I go into the graveyard and take these children from there.
Isaac couldn't find Cyrus today, so he talks to the other boys.
If you want to become a mechanic, we can stretch the deed. If you want to become a carpenter, we can stretch the deed. If you want to become a plumber, we can stretch the deed. Let's meet.
At night, Monrovia is a vibrant city. It's the first time in a long time that Isaac Peters has been able to check out some of the city's clubs. Victor Brown, aka T1, is performing tonight at a dance club where many of Monrovia's street kids go to blow off steam. Some also come here to convince other people to join Isaac Peters High School. But for now, Isaac insists T1 should just concentrate on entertaining his fans.
Our next activist is a journalist who is fighting for albinos in Tanzania. Let's watch Henry Adimu's story.
It's breakfast time at Henry Mdimu's house in Dar es Salaam. Albinism, the absence of melanin in his skin, is not an issue here at home. But that's not the case elsewhere in Tanzania, where people with albinism are frequently maimed and even killed. Henry Mdimu is a journalist who helps shed light on such crimes. He likes to engage with people, even if his life isn't always easy.
You won't get anywhere if you complicate everything in your life. You have to accept things.
Accept things.
Accept the way you are, and then move on.
Many people in East Africa believe that albinos are ghosts. To change that attitude, Henry Mdimu regularly talks to people without albinism. He then publishes the interviews in his newspaper and on his blog.
If you see a person like me, an albino, walking down the street, what comes to mind?
Some people see albinos as a way of making money. But to me, you are like any other human being.
For over a decade, Under the Same Sun has been fighting for the rights of albinos in Tanzania. The NGO helps those who have been brutally attacked by people who believe albino body parts can bring wealth and good luck. On the black market, a limb of a person with albinism can fetch $5,000, an entire body hundreds of thousands. Mariam Stamford is one such victim. Sometimes I have nightmares about people cutting off my hands. But I thank God that these kinds of nightmares happen so rarely now. Her assailants have never been prosecuted. Crimes against people with albinism are often not fully investigated. That's why Henry Mdimu is working to increase awareness, one person at a time.
I'm trying to convince people to change their minds and be heroes in their societies.
Change their mindset, being the heroes in society.
Henry Mdimu's work is far from over. But one day he hopes to live in a Tanzania where people with albinism can live their lives like any other human being.
Corruption, corruption, corruption. It's not just a buzzword in Africa, it's the reality we live in, and it affects all spheres of our lives. Jonathan Adoma in Liberia is speaking against corruption in the education sector.
Eight o'clock in the morning in Liberia's capital, Monrovia. Jonathan Doma is a guest on the live show Radio Maria. He reports about the latest incidents of corruption in the education system. The 28-year-old works for the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. Today he speaks about corruption in schools, about teachers putting money intended for books into their own pockets. The radio show is an important platform for the activist.
It is important because the public depends on us a lot. There's a lot that is expected of our work by the public, so we always try our best to share the result of our works, our findings, our research, the findings of our research to the public.
Tell us about some of those things that you are currently working on.
There's a lot of interest in the show. Every day, more and more people talk about corruption in government institutions and in politics. Despite some initial progress, Liberia recently fell in the world's Corruption Perception Index.
We are the common people who would benefit from the resources that this country has. For all the resources that the country has, we cannot see it because of the corruption.
Corruption is a very, very serious problem in our country. Very serious to the extent that every part of Liberia is being affected by corruption, the public sector and the private sector.
Jonathan Doma and his colleagues at Sental would be fighting a losing battle were it not for their dedicated volunteers. Their problem, when they cover a case of corruption, it doesn't mean that the offender will be punished. The activists aren't giving up, though. In fact, they're starting to see results. Here at the University of Liberia, students are staging a protest against rising tuition rates. They're upset about a lack of transparency. Jonathan will meet with the University Council to clarify some important points.
What will be done with the money that is expected to come from the students? What improvements we expect to see? For example, the institution lacks a functional library. They don't have computer labs. They are talking about internet on campuses. None of them are actually happening here right now.
After a week-long standoff, success. The president of the country rules for the status quo to be maintained. There will be no raise of tuition fees for now. More importantly, though, it's a good sign for Liberia, says Jonathan Doma, that more and more young people are stepping up to ask difficult questions.
Radio is intimate, it's direct, it's human, and that's why our next activist is using the medium to push his cause.
These are now victims of a terror drill. Remember, the word terror comes before the drill. So in the drill, all the way to the government, how is Uhuru reacting where he is? In his country, one person, broadcaster. Mbona umengoja that long?
Sina kwa mse kuna mtu alichoka maji.
Ama popali kamna.
Unaekelewa ati unaekelewa kila.
We finally identified the programming that relates to the youth and fully represent. And I remember the theme that I had in that change is that now I'm going now to create a radio that is a friend. A different radio that is not Mr. Know-it-all, whereby the hosts are assumed knowledgeable and knows. I want to create a radio that can also learn from people.
Conversation iendelee, tuchanuane tukiwa mayuti. Na Ghetto Radio 89.5.
Unajua huko hata nishapata mrembo. Nataka kupanda mbegu huko Kataka. Haru Ghetto Radio. Pirokti na kukua na skupoa. Nikakuja paka hapa. Ule nilikujanga hapa. Nikakuja nikafanyiwa interview. Kufanyiwa interview sasa. Siku ingia mara hiyo siku kuwa presenter hiyo siku. Nikaenda nikamaliza wiki kama moja kwa street. Sonko wetu maji akanitumania. Na wanyosh. Vipi? Yani sawa. Base. Poa. Kanyumba karia twakoma no uyu na ni okite ngamuhe kiraro ka ngui. Aria twenda kunyitirwo nawe. Ghetto Radio tu nilikuwa tu naisikianga hivyo, saa zingine nilikuwa tu nafungulia Ghetto Radio nasikia marege nikiwa mtaani. Unajua masafara wengi wanapenda Ghetto Radio juu wakati uko pale mtaani ukiweka Ghetto Radio unasikia hapo, ukisikia rege hata kama huna kaki paka hivyo kama kazi inakuwa kabisa kwa feti tu.
The experiences you could talk of are unheard of, unwritten stories are unheard of. The real experience. Yes, you know somebody is a street boy, so probably most people know the worst you know is glue na kulala nje. the beat everyone will know generally. But now when you start to talk, you'll find a lot of issues going on there. But those issues were unbroadcasted.
So what will you be fighting and pushing for this week in your own sphere? And to quote the words of Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. That's all on Africa on the Move this week. See you again really soon. Bye.
First point of accountability is asking questions.
Hello and welcome to Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Hi everyone, welcome to Plus Training.
You cannot continue to recycle poverty while you're spending a lot of money on unproductive ventures.
The government has to feel the impact.
Honorable Commissioner, sir, welcome to the show.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I think we've done very well in the very difficult circumstances in which we took over governance.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let everybody come and say!
The perception in itself does more harm than actual corruption that you have.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
Goal 10 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals speaks largely about eliminating inequality amongst countries and peoples. The United Nations clearly recognizes that businesses can also exacerbate inequality by being complicit in perpetrating biases and discrimination. The question, however, is, how exactly does this resonate with Nigeria? Lagos is the most populous city in Nigeria and has millions of persons. Among these are little persons also, often found in Osborn in Ikoyi. They are trying to make a living as they grapple with inequality and discrimination because of their physical appearances. Wisdom Abba and his wife Joanne are one of the little persons who moved from other parts of the country into Lagos to make a living by getting employed despite their physical inadequacies. They say that in Lagos, they had hoped to win the battle against discrimination, but this fight, however, seems to be a lost one as they are constantly marginalized by some employers while hunting for jobs.
Sometimes somebody will promise me at where I'm selling market, best we drive car, we say we find work for me. I will pull up on that person. At last the person will not find a job because promise me. Many of them.
When I want to look for a job, they say they can't give me a job, that I'm too short, then I should go.
This couple is not the only little person seeking an end to discrimination in job hunting. Nkubi and Shapali are celebrity broadcasters. They too say that they have had a painful taste of societal rejection.
I got called up for an interview
one of the management now walked up to me and told me that, look, I am sincerely very sorry. You are not the kind of person we are looking for.
My sister, you know, growing up, to be like, Daddy, where do you get this thing from?
Though Shapali comes across as a very confident woman, she says growing up was torturous.
As I'm talking to you, I don't know my mom till now. She ran away because I am a dwarf.
She adds that her self-esteem was dealt a devastating blow for even thinking of marrying a tall man and begetting tall offspring, as her mother-in-law rejected her.
I had a relationship that the guy, you know, took me home to the mom. And I was there in their living room, seated, and the guy went to call the mom. The mom came and I was like, where? Sorry, oh my dear, sorry. Where is the wife? My son said he brought. And I was like, it's me. I said, stop joking now. How will it be you? My son came up to come that he brought somebody. You know, I was not accepted.
Bash and Iyatokpe are 9-to-5 persons. They reveal that they have also been treated with inequality countless times.
My own junior brother, the one that follows me, he also thought I'm kind of like a junior to him. We usually fight every day.
I go one place. I say they find person will go sweep here. They say not true. I say I won't do it. They say, you do it. Which hand do you want to take sweep here?
With only 12 years left to expunge inequality by 2030, only little is known if Nigeria will truly wipe out this menace. But Wisdom and his wife Joanne, Nkubi, Shapali, Bash and Iyatokpe continue to hope that someday they will be treated like every other human being. I am Mary Chinda for Plus TV Africa.
Brazilian who, with the longer blades that Austria wasn't too impressed with. 200 metres, but we must stress, absolutely legal.
Sounds of the surf.
Yeah. Now that he's a hater, I don't want no bad energy. Man get used by radar, can't see my enemy.
And this time they are away, and Peacock goes away strongly.
She wants a man from London, she wants a fellow with felonies. That's probably with my team. There's no I in it, I bring it on my team. Just when they saw my team, even the bouncers bounce when they saw my team. You do wanna never know. Don't be a sheep when you can be bold. Great, it's about time and you never know. Don't show up to my show, you've got no energy.
This TV station, Plus TV Africa, is designed to help to create a paradigm shift. The more we tell our stories, the more we learn from whatever our past mistakes have been.
We can be much more than we are. We should be doing a lot in refineries.
And we are definitely investing in our staff. We're training, we're developing, we're creating the kind of workforce that will be the envy of the international broadcast. The quality of the reportage, the quality of our presentation, the quality of our production will be obvious. We're saying that we want to reach Africans wherever they are and get the message across to them. That's what Plus TV Africa is all about.
Hello there, and many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. And here are the stories making the headlines. I'm Takumbo Taiwo. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, to intervene in the case of Nigerian students detained by Saudi Arabia authority. Zainab Aliyu, a student of Maitama Sule University in Kano, who traveled for Lesser Hajj in December 2018, was detained by the Saudi Arabia authorities for allegedly being in possession of a banned substance. Abike Dabari Erewa, the senior special assistant to the president on foreign affairs and diaspora, said this in a statement by her media aide Abdul Rahman Balogun on Monday in Abuja. The presidential aide assured that progress was being made in Zainab's case, along with 2 others held in similar circumstances in Saudi Arabia. Zainab, who was accused of entering Saudi Arabia with an illegal dose of tramadol, was later discovered to be a victim of a cartel that specialized in keeping hard drugs in travelers' bags. Earlier, we were joined by Jide Ologun, a legal practitioner, to discuss the directive given to AGF on the Nigerian student in Saudi Arabia.
Let me start with you. What's your immediate reaction to this development?
It's sad, considering the fact that less than 3 weeks ago, a Nigerian was killed in Saudi Arabia. And I think the security operatives in this country must up their game. Because if it's been confirmed that there is a certain cartel that specializes in, just hiding drugs in people's bags, especially those traveling, then what are the measures they've put in place, if that indeed is very true? And on the side of the traveler, you also need to be very careful. How you handle your luggage is as important as how you breathe in oxygen so that you can stay alive. I think that the commendation that should come to them must have actually started from them having arrested or telling us this cartel is headed by this. At times, the security operatives want to seem as if they are hiding behind certain things. Now, if you found out that there's a cartel, who runs the cartel? How does the cartel operate? Because we see how investigations are handled in foreign crimes. They tell you the bombing took place at this point. These are the people involved. So since they said there's a cartel, who are the cartel members? How do they operate? You have to first of all reveal how they operate so that travelers can already have an immediate idea of how these people operate. That is very important.
Jide, let me ask you quickly, what can the government really do, considering first, we all know the law in Saudi Arabia when it comes to having a drug in your possession, but the uniqueness of this is that she's alleging, and the family is alleging, that there is a cartel, like Mr. Kuno has said.
The
what can
government
the government really do?
The government should be experienced in engaging diplomatic intervention because, like you rightly mentioned, Saudi Arabia has no tolerance at all for drug trafficking, and you should be surprised that tramadol, which is a common drug we abuse in Nigeria, is even classified as something highly dangerous over there. And of course, the question now is, will Saudi Arabia trust our investigations? Because that's another issue, which is of diplomatic content. Because I recall the case of Ibori. We couldn't find a strong enough case to pin him down in Nigeria. But in the UK, he was jailed for 13 years for specific crime. So we now bring in the issue of reputation here. What is Nigeria known for? But we expect that with the level of investigations we have done, we should be able to rescue, knowing that in recent times we have lost some Nigerians to the diligent laws of Saudi Arabia. And of course, to come back home and ask the questions we are asking. What should we be known for? What are our values? Like Mr. Kunu rightly mentioned, who are these cartel members? They are human beings. They are no ghosts. To what extent do we want criminality to be the recognition attached to our country? So we pray that she will survive this. And like I said, we also need to pray that Saudi Arabia will be in a position to trust our investigation. That's because they are not compelled by virtue of sovereignty
that is still left to be seen. Thank you very much,
except they choose to conduct their own independent. But we have been indicted already for even permitting a cartel to operate.
As the party presses on its fight for its stolen mandate, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has levelled fresh accusations against the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. In a statement on Monday by its National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olobodinyo, PDP claimed to have intelligence proving that INEC was replacing all of the servers at its headquarters in Abuja and all of its offices in the 36 states of the Federation in a bid to obliterate the actual result of the February 23 presidential elections. This, according to the party, proves INEC guilty in the manipulation and rigging of the 2019 presidential election. PDP, however, said it will remain strong, be at alert and work relentlessly to reclaim what it termed its stolen mandate. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has reacted to the allegation by the People's Democratic Party that it was replacing election servers in its headquarters and state offices across the Federation. The party had, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olobodinyo, claimed that the replacement was part of a plot by the electoral umpire to obliterate the actual presidential election results transmitted from the polling centers across the nation. But in a swift reaction, the Electoral Commission described the allegation as baseless and untrue. Rotimi Oyekomi, the Chief Press Secretary to Professor Yakubu Mahmood, the INEC chairman, in a terse statement yesterday said the Commission will not trade words with the party on the matter since it was already before the court. Oyekomi, who tagged the allegation baseless, further advised the PDP should allow the legal process to run its full course. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says there is the need for states to explore ways of improving their internally generated revenue in the next few years. Osinbajo said this on Monday at the opening of the induction of the new and returning governors at the State House Banquet Hall in Abuja. The induction was organized by the Nigerian Governors Forum, NGF. According to him, it has always been the tradition for all elected officials in Nigeria to complain about inadequate funds. On agriculture, he said that each state must leverage its most advantageous agricultural produce by working with the federal government's initiatives in agricultural credit and the recently inaugurated green alternative. He said it was possible for states to generate significant revenues from agriculture. The Vice President assured the inductees that the federal government will equitably treat all states in spite of party affiliations. The governor of Bayelsa State, Sirike Dixon, has declined assent to the bill seeking pension for current and former lawmakers of the state as hastily proposed and passed by the State House of Assembly last week. The State Commissioner for Information, Daniel Iworiso Maxson, said the governor has already conveyed the decision to withhold assent to the bill in a letter to the Speaker of the State House of Assembly on Monday. Iworiso Maxson noted that the governor refused to sign the bill into law because it was inconsistent with Section 124 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. He said the governor was of the view that the State Assembly lacked the powers to expand the categories of public servants who should be entitled to pension. The governor stressed that he was guided in the decision by the principle that government should not be for a selected class of the privileged in the society. The federal government has declared Wednesday, the 1st of May, as public holiday to celebrate the 2019 Workers' Day. The Minister of Interior, Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazo, who made the declaration on behalf of the federal government, congratulated Nigerian workers on their commitment and sacrifice towards building a greater Nigeria. He made the announcement in a statement issued on Monday in Abuja by Mrs. Georgina Ehuria, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry. He commended workers' efforts at ensuring the full implementation of the policies and programs of government through efficient and effective service delivery to Nigerians and foreigners. Dambazo called for continuous support for Nigerian workers in government effort at repositioning the economy and moving it to the next level. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has warned employers of labour to shun any attempts aimed at disregarding the newly signed national minimum wage. The NLC, at a solidarity rally in Abuja, also promised a showdown with employers that continue to use casualization to deprive Nigerian workers of their rights as employees. The NLC further called for better working conditions for workers both in the private and public sector.
We call on all employers of labor to quickly commence the implementation of the new national minimum wage of 30,000 naira. The Nigerian labor movement will keep a hawk eye on all employers of labor, especially state government, to ensure total compliance on the implementation of the new national minimum wage. In similar vein, organized labor will continue to step up campaign to ensure that our workplace are rid of anti-workers policies and practice. In line with the theme of this year May Day, we'll be squaring up against unemployers of labor who deploy casualization, outsourcing, and anti-unionization policies to dehumanize workers and rob them of their voice and rights. We will dare you, we will win you.
The May Day, we call on workers, even those who are holed up behind the offices now, to come out and celebrate the workers' achievements and also canvass for policies going forward that will benefit workers.
The North-East Zonal Head of Operations of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Michael Wetkas, has said that the Commission is adopting new and modern strategies in its fight against corruption in order to overcome advanced ways people engage in corrupt practices. Addressing a press conference at the Gombe Zonal Office, which covers Gombe, Bauchi, Taraba and Adamawa states on its activities for the first quarter of the year. The Zonal Head of Operations, who reeled out new and trending ways of corrupt activities, said the Commission had secured 41 convictions from corruption-related cases as at April 29. He said the Commission was able to recover in cash and drafts over 55.6 million naira, with property valued at 18.8 million naira and 2 cars that are yet to be valued. He, however, advised Nigerians to be very careful and vigilant following the advanced ways innocent people are being defrauded. At the commemoration of Dr. Iyabode Shofoluwe Shadare, who turned 60 today, April 29, 2019, and celebrated at the House of the Rock Cathedral, Plus TV Africa caught up with Pastor Paul Adefarasin, an author and founder of House on the Rock Cathedral. When he was asked to say a prayer for Nigeria, he told our correspondent Ife Oshunkeye, Nigeria has had enough prayers.
Nigeria has had enough prayer. What Nigeria really needs is change. Nigeria needs great leadership. It needs inclusive leadership, inclusive governance. Nigeria needs its very best, serving the rest, not the worst, lording it over the rest. And if we can find a way to get many people, like many of the women and men in this room, into leadership and create a better political process that enables the best to come to the place of leading our country. Nigeria doesn't lack the resources, the human capital, the mineral resources, and the know-how to dig itself out of this doldrum and come into its best place. But we have a very bereft political class that are mostly made up of looters, cultists, terrorists, extremists, and thieves. And if we can change that status quo and put responsible Nigerians, and we're not lacking the number, then Nigeria will change.
The Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, has commenced registration for the issuance of the 10-year e-passport. This was disclosed by the Public Relations Officer of the service, James Sunday, on Monday, when he took journalists around the Capture Center in Abuja. He noted that about 720 applicants will be captured in a day. The new passport plan also incorporates registration of enrollees by the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has revealed that almost 2.5 million persons were displaced by floods in 2018 And NEMA's Director of Research and Rescue, Air Commodore Akugbe Iyamu, made this known in Abuja at a technical workshop on disaster management, saying that NIMET and NISA's 2018's seasonal rainfall prediction helped NEMA prepare adequately for the floods. Air Commodore Iyamu urged response agencies to work together, saying interagency collaboration can help mitigate the effects of flooding and other natural disasters in the country.
The flood affected 129 local government areas, over 2,321,592 people, with 199 deaths. In the final outcome, 4,107 people were injured, while over 600,000 were displaced. The damage also affected over 100,190 houses and 382,368 agriculture. View the National Contingency Plan to align the agency's effort with the World View on Disaster Management, with the aim to save lives from preventable causes.
It's time to take a quick break now. Stay tuned for more news when we return. The World Food Programme delivered emergency food and aid to residents of cyclone-ravaged Mozambique on Monday, the 29th of April, as rainfall hampered efforts 4 days after Cyclone Kenneth pummeled the area. The death toll has risen from 5 to 38, the country's Disaster Management Institute said on Monday. Kenneth made landfall on Mozambique's northeast coast on Thursday, packing storm surges and wind gusts of up to 280 kilometers per hour. Since then, it has dumped heavy rain on the region, causing floods, and the United Nations said it had released $13 million in emergency funds for Mozambique and the Comoros to provide food and water and repair infrastructure. The World Food Programme said there were fears for 700,000 people who remain at risk as rain continues to fall and floodwaters rise. The family of former Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika left the presidential headquarters in the western suburbs of Algiers earlier this week, revealed informed sources. They vacated the premises at the orders of the military authorities, the de facto rulers, after Bouteflika stepped down on April the 2nd following mass protests. 4 members of his family left the headquarters at the orders of the Defense Ministry, the sources told Al-Ashaq Al-Awsat. The family was living in Zeralda city. The official presidential palace lies in the El Mouradia in the Algiers province. The development took place as Said Bouteflika, the former president's younger brother, has found himself in the eye of the political upheaval in Algeria. The ad interim director of the Holy See Press Office, Alessandro Ghisotti, told Vatican News that Pope Francis is praying for the victims of Burkina Faso church attack, their families and the entire Christian community in the country. The Holy Father has learned with sorrow the news of a new attack on a church in Burkina Faso. 6 people died in the attack on a Protestant church in Burkina Faso on Sunday in Silgadji in the north of the country, just as the Sunday service was concluding. According to the security of sources, unidentified armed individuals arrived on motorcycles, shooting and killing 6 people, including the pastor, Pierre Ouedraogo, and 2 of his sons. The news continues after the short break.
Open account, Get Aladdin Millions promo is back again, and this time it's bigger, better, and life-changing. Save your way to millions faster than you think. Open any Fidelity account with 20,000 naira, or top up your existing account with 10,000 naira, and stand a chance to win a whopping 1 million or 2 million in our monthly draw. That's not even all. Listen, there's more. Guess what? Open an account with 50,000 naira, or top up an existing savings account with 50,000 naira, and you could win 3 million naira. Fidelity Bank definitely did not come to play at all. Maintain an average balance of 200,000 naira, and you could win the grand prize of 10 million naira. I'm now a millionaire. I love Fidelity. You too can save your way to millions. Hurry to any Fidelity Bank and start saving today, or simply scan the QR code on all promotional items to open an account and participate. Many consolation prizes and weekly cash prizes up for grabs.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
The United States believes members of the militant group blamed for Sri Lanka's Easter Sunday attacks may be at large and planning more assaults. The U.S. ambassador to Sri Lanka said on Tuesday. Ambassador Alaina Teplides told Reuters that the terrorist threat is ongoing and there may be active planning underway due to the fact that members of the attack group that carried out the terror attacks on Easter Sunday may still be at large.
I can't comment on specific intelligence or investigative information, but I believe our warning is valid and still stands, which is that we do believe that there is active plotting underway, and we have warned U.S. citizens and then, of course, others who might read our warnings to be mindful of places that might make attractive targets for terrorists.
Iran will continue to export oil despite U.S. pressure aimed at reducing the nation's crude oil shipments to zero, Iran President Hassan Rouhani said in a speech broadcast live on Iranian state TV on Tuesday. Rouhani said America's decision that Iran's oil exports must reach zero is a wrong and mistaken decision, and we won't let this decision be executed and operational. He said in future months, the Americans themselves will see that Iran will continue oil exports. The United States demanded last Monday that buyers of Iranian oil stop purchases by the 1st of May or face sanctions, ending 6 months of waivers that had allowed Iran's 8 biggest customers, most of them in Asia, to continue importing limited volumes. U.S. President Donald Trump has sued 2 banks in a bid to stop them handing over his financial records to Congress. A lawsuit against Deutsche Bank and Capital One was filed again after Democrat-led committees issued subpoenas for information on his finances. His 3 eldest children and the Trump Organization joined the lawsuit, which argues there are no legitimate grounds for investigating his business affairs. Leading Democrats said they will not be deterred by the blocking attempt. A Deutsche Bank spokeswoman told the New York Times, "We remain committed to providing appropriate information to all authorized investigations." Japan's Emperor Akihito has declared his abdication and delivered his last public address as emperor in a historic ceremony in Tokyo. He's the first Japanese monarch to stand down in more than 200 years. The 85-year-old was given permission to abdicate after saying he felt unable to fulfill his role because of his age and declining health. Crown Prince Naruhito will ascend the throne on Wednesday, beginning a new era. In his final speech, Akihito said he wished Japan and the world peace and prosperity. Up next is our business news. And in business, 2 international oil companies operating in the country have declared force majeure on 2 crude grades. As a result of this, exports of Nigerian crude oil have suffered a significant disruption. Force majeure is a legal clause that allows companies to cancel or delay deliveries due to unforeseen circumstances. Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria Limited, in a statement on Monday, said it declared force majeure on Bonny Light effective 12 noon on the 25th of April 2019. According to the oil major, the declaration of force majeure followed the shutdown of the Nembe Creek trunk line on the 21st of April 2019 and declaration of the force majeure by the operation of the NCTL ITO Eastern Exploration and Production Company Limited. ITO declared force majeure last week on the NCTL following a fire outbreak, saying it was constrained to shut-in injection as well as other related operations into the NCTL. According to Reuters, Aminam, operated by oil major Total, is also under force majeure. However, both grades of crude are light and sweet, typically suitable for petrol production. Still on Plus TV Africa News is our roundup of entertainment and sports news. We'll be back in a moment.
I'm doing this because I want to clarify a lot of things. The first day I met him, he told me that he was a Obasanjo's son. His father was a gardener for Obasanjo. This man said that we did not have a wedding. When I can prove to you that we had almost 200 and something people in attendance.
Wedding.
But it's okay, Churchill. We didn't have a wedding because you didn't contribute to the wedding.
What were the qualities that attracted you to him?
The only quality I saw were all the lies. The house that I lived with this guy was a rented apartment. These are conversations between I and the agent. Domestic violence was something that was real, was always there in my relationship. He never told me he did Yahoo. My pregnancy was not something I ever wanted to keep. My problem is, you don't do for your son. Don't discredit the woman who does it.
And in entertainment, Kylie Garris of New Haven, who represents Connecticut, has won the 2019 edition of the beauty pageant competition of Miss Teen USA 2019. The 18-year-old model battled 50 other contestants before clinching the 37th Miss Teen USA crown. Kaylee, who is a competitive dancer and hopes to become a nurse, was in the top two along with Caitlin Vogel of North Dakota, who ended up as her runner-up. What's also interesting is that Kaylee embraced her natural beauty, sporting her natural afro hair throughout the competition. Following her win, Kaylee credited her support system for her accomplishments thus far. And that's it on entertainment. Coming up next is the very best in sports, coming up right after this.
And in sports, Chairman of the International Table Tennis Federation Nomination Committee, Wahid Oshodi, says that African table tennis players can only bridge the gap with tests their Asian and European counterparts by competing at elite-level tournaments, which would help them up their game. And speaking against the backdrop of the African players' performance at the 2019 ITTF World Championships held in Budapest, Hungary, Oshodi said that the performance of the African players has been quite fair. The former president of the Nigerian Table Tennis Federation said for African players to get to medal in a global tournament, there must be conscious efforts by coaches to acquaint themselves with modern techniques in the sports. He also highlighted the importance of sponsorship and funding in helping African players become more competitive on the global scene. And that's it on Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I'm Udoka Njoku.
And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news and updates, do follow us on Plus TV Africa. And do remember to subscribe to our YouTube page on Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. I'm Tokumbo Taiwo saying have a good afternoon. Alibaba has a message for ladies putting other ladies under pressure on social media. Pretty Mike names the video directors that sleep with video vixens. Leonardo DiCaprio's ex-girlfriend files for bankruptcy amid $560,000 debt. And Wendy Williams' ex-husband calls police 2 times in 3 days over safety paranoia. That's the lineup on Tea Time right here on Plus TV Africa. But it's not necessarily in that particular order. I'm Tokumbo Taiwo, and I'm here with my fellow co-anchors, the laudable and intriguing Elsie Godwin and Ife Oshunkeye.
What's up?
Morning, guys.
Morning.
So, how was your evening last night? Get up to anything exciting?
Where were you yesterday? That's the question.
Yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, so I went out yesterday. I went to church.
And you,
Yes.
I went to church.
Well, let's start counting. That's the first one this year.
Okay, so I was in church yesterday, and then I was at the Food and Drinks Festival, and that was...
It was fun.
Please, when you say you're in church, people would think you went to church because you just wanted to go to church and pray. Can you tell them why you were in church?